Hey, we're going to tackle a big topic today, which is how to plan a cruise excursion. I know this is a hot topic because it is a very important part of cruising. So I actually consulted some pros, and I'm going to share 10 tips and then some special pro tips at the end. I did ask some people in the industry so that I could be sure to make sure I was covering everything. But if you're a veteran or just love to cruise, I would love to know in the comments anything else you think that people should do when they're planning an excursion. All right, so let's get started. So the number one thing to do is to find out what's available to do in port. Use a number of different sources because some of them are outdated, have old information, or just not right. I like to use Google. I like to use ChatGPT. ChatGPT is really, really good. You can type in, name the top 5 things to do in 8 hours, and then list all your ports, and it will just spit it out. Again, I wouldn't just rely on that, but it is super efficient. You can also go to Cruise Critic. There's lots of good information, very specific information available there. And then you can go to a number of touring sources like Viator, Get Your Guide, shoreexcursionsgroup.com, and ask your friends. And of course, a great way to find out what's happening in port is to go to your cruise website and see what excursions they are offering. Number 2, determine how much time you're going to have. Plan to be back at the ship 1 to 2 hours before sail away. I know that seems like a lot, but you just don't know what's going to be happening as you're traveling back to the port, and you need to get on that ship, right? Number 3, this is a big one. See how far your destination is from port. It can be far. We had planned to take a cruise with stops in Europe, and we were going to go to Berlin and didn't realize at the time that it was 3 hours away. Wow. Anyhow, it all worked out, but you will want to look that up. And even different excursions can be different distances away from the port. Next, does your port use a tender? Typically, it will say that on your itinerary. And if so, know that disembarkation or people getting off the cruise, when there is a tender, can take hours. So if you have something planned that has a specific start time, just let them know your cruise is a tender. They may have some thoughts for you on whether or not that is a fit for you or not. A little tip that I learned is if your cruise port uses a tender, if you take a cruise ship excursion, you will get priority off the ship. Or perhaps you have priority because you have status with your cruise line, which is great too. That will get you off the ship early. But if not, you can use a cruise ship excursion. And if you really want to maximize your time in port, find an excursion that ends at sail away. So whenever the cruise ship is supposed to leave, whenever all aboard is, if that's 4:30, and your excursion ends at 4:30 with a cruise ship, you're going to get the most for your day. Because remember, when you book an excursion through the cruise ship, they're not going to leave you, which is a great reason to book those excursions sometimes. Next, check out your touring options. I kind of use the cruise ship as a baseline, and then I go out to, as I mentioned, Viator, I don't know how you say it, Get Your Guide, Tours by Locals, Shore Excursions Group, and see what's available to you in terms of pricing and other amenities. Some of these will include lunch or water. You're also going to want to make sure if you're using a private tour that there is a guarantee to get you back to the ship on time included. Many more private tour operators are doing that now and really taking extraordinary efforts to make sure that you can get back to the ship on time. And remember, if that's a big worry for you, the cruise line offers great turnkey excursions. Basically, they will take you to a bus, and the rest of the day they will take you around and then get you back to the ship. Super easy. On the other hand, just know you're going to be with a big group. So there are pros and cons. You can get to meet some people, but on the other hand, if those people are late getting back to the bus, that bus is going to wait. So you will too. Something to keep in mind. If you're not somebody that enjoys buses with big groups, you can look at smaller group private excursions. You can also do a DIY excursion. We've done that plenty of times, especially when you're pulling right into port. You can walk to whatever you need to go to. We did San Juan recently, and I have a friend who's from there, and she just basically gave us a step-by-step, and it was fantastic. So remember, you can always do it yourself, which we actually prefer to do if there's any way that we can. It's always an option. But if you do that, then you are responsible for getting your tickets, making sure you know where to go, getting a map, and so forth. You kind of have to weigh the pros and cons there. Next, number 5, research online reviews. Absolutely. Look closely. Look at the dates of them, notice specifically what they say, and see what people are complaining about. Like I saw people say in one occasion that they went to this famous place and were basically behind it and couldn't see it. They went all the way there and then couldn't see really well what they wanted to see. So just really read those reviews. Number 6, also before you book, look at the fitness level that's required. I know on Princess Cruises, the levels are easy, moderate, and strenuous. And I also know, having been on a lot of excursions, that a lot of people, honestly, overestimate their fitness levels. They think probably they're a moderate when they're an easy. We did one on an island in the Caribbean, and it was a very, very physical excursion. And it involved going out over rocks to snorkel, and it involved climbing on some wet rocks to get into some coves. I mean, it was stressful for everybody, not just for the people who were trying to accomplish these activities, but for all of us and the tour operators trying to help the people accomplish these activities. There were some really scary moments. Talk to someone in shore excursions to see if they can get you more information on the physical requirements of that excursion. You don't want to put yourself in any jeopardy. That's definitely no fun. Number 7, read your ticket to see what's required for your excursions if you've already booked it, and make sure that you understand like what kind of shoes or clothing generally is required. Many times closed-toed shoes may be required, or if you're going to be zip lining, your clothing may need to be kind of close to your body, and certain kinds of clothing are not allowed. Again, it will let you know if there's anything you need to bring, if it includes complimentary water or lunch. And it's always a good idea to have breakfast the day of an excursion, because even if lunch is included, you don't know what time. It may be a little bit later than you're used to. Oh, one thing I wanted to mention that's important before you book that excursion is to be sure that you can get a refund, a 100% refund, if the ship does not stop at that port. So this happened to me. We had a cruise with a number of stops and like half of them got canceled. Now, thankfully, I used Get Your Guide, Tours by Local, and then the ship, and they all, gave us a 100% refund, but that was by design. It's not your fault. If the ship doesn't stop because of weather or whatever reason, you shouldn't be penalized for that. But just cover yourself, be sure. Next, number 8, look into where you're supposed to be meeting the tour company, because sometimes the piers are closed, meaning tour operators can't come in. So pretty much you're getting off the ship and you're going to have to take a shuttle into town or a train or whatever. So just be sure to look up where you're supposed to meet the tour operator. I like to send a note a couple days before, say, can you confirm where we're going to meet? Similarly, number 9, a few days before, you're going to want to check the weather. And if the weather seems like it might not be good, this is a good time to confirm. What will happen if the weather isn't good and the touring company has to cancel? But sometimes they want to go ahead and do it anyhow, and that's where you're going to have a conversation with them. If you feel that it is not safe, you should say that and see what their policy is in terms of refunding your money. And don't forget, when you get off the ship, bring things with you that you might need that day, like Band-Aids, insect repellent, cash, credit card, some kind of ID. Now, a lot of people don't want to bring your passport, which I'm one of those people, but you do need to have some kind of government ID with you. You might want to bring some aspirin, anything related to your health, anything related to your comfort, sunglasses, battery charger for your phone. And by the way, hang on to your belongings, especially your phone. Believe me, I learned the hard way. I'll link to that video here, just in case you lose your phone in another country like I did. Lastly, number 10, get some help. Go to the port talks that the cruise ship has. I've had some great ones, some not so great ones, but they're always worth going to. They at least will tell you what you're going to find when you get off the ship. They're going to reiterate any last minute changes. Do go to them. You will learn so much. Oftentimes, you can even see them on the TV in your stateroom if you missed it. Now, because of those port talks, I was able to find somebody essentially who gives me professional guidance on all of my excursions when I take a cruise. So I will put her link and this information below, but for what I consider to be a very fair fee, she will go through and tell you the options of stuff to do in port, but not just that, but kind of secret things, little secret tips that we wouldn't know, but she knows because she's been there, whether it's transportation, cute little restaurants to go to, or just tips on getting around. It's a great service to have and to use. And if you have specific things you like and don't like, she can incorporate that into the plan and give you some great options in each port. So again, linking to that below. Thank you, Ports by Potter. All right, other tips. Don't identify yourself as a tourist. Prepare for pickpockets. Just secure your things. Don't put your phone in your back pocket. Ladies, make sure you've got a nice strong purse. Be careful with backpacks. Keep an eye on your stuff. Take a photo of the emergency contact information that should be available as you exit the ship. So there should be a phone number that you can call should there be an emergency when you're in port. Good thing to have just in case. Something I learned the hard way. If you're using a hop-on, hop-off bus, find out if there is more than one in the area. If there is, know what the difference is, know the colors of the different buses, because I saw people, I think this was in Stockholm, but I've seen in other places too, they got confused into which buses were stopping where. In some cases, I think they got on the wrong bus and they completely missed things that they had tickets for and were very stressed out. If you found this helpful at all, please be sure to give us a thumbs up, subscribe, please, please, please. I'm trying to get to 1,000 subscribers. And thank you for taking the time. That's your most important resource. A comment on anything else that I haven't covered. Thank you. Safe travels.